Today's topic is Ready, Set, Jump, Create the Life of Your Dreams. And I am going to provide for you 7 steps that will help you create a paradigm shift that will allow you to begin living the life of your dreams right now. These 7 steps are helpful in of themselves, but it is not intended to be something that you sit down one afternoon and move through like a workbook. This is something that you will be cycling through over and over as you move through your pattern of your life. The first time that you move through these patterns, you will be taking a little bit more time with each step, and some of them may take a day, some of them may take weeks, some of them may take a little bit more than that. I'm not sure, because it all depends on your process and where you are moving towards this. But the beautiful thing is that you will be going in the speed that is correct for you. A lot of times people are telling me that they want something, but they're afraid to take that initial jump. And they view the initial jump as something huge. You know, they have to sell their house and move into a tent in the desert, or they have to change their relationship and move out and move on their own, or they have to go back to school, something that is huge and perhaps a little bit frightening to them. And a lot of times the reason whatever that action is so frightening is because people haven't taken the time to do the background work that will make whatever the action is that you need to take, because you will need to take action. We can't create, we can't manifest without action. And so surrender is not without action, but the actions become much more subtle and sometimes much deeper than we are used to. As a society, we are used to banging our heads against the wall, knocking on doors, trying to force things to happen. We've talked about this in some of the other shows, and again, not saying male versus female in the human sense, but that linear vibration of the God energy or the male energy that has dominated our world for many, many generations is that go get, think later type of mentality. The goddess vibration, the divine feminine vibration, is more circular. And so when I say you're going to go through these steps more than once, we're creating a circle of steps versus that linear sit down and master this in a straight line, and then I should have what I want. So when we're moving in this direction, action sometimes has much more to do with your thought, your perception, the underlying vibrations to the action that will eventually occur in the outer physical world. So when we move into this vibration, we are looking for a paradigm shift first. The reason why jumping in and creating the life that you desire feels so difficult is because you're looking at taking action and then assuming your paradigm will shift, or maybe not even thinking about a paradigm shift, but thinking your world will change when you get certain things in order and you take certain actions. However, in reality, your world changes first as you shift your paradigm, and then the outer world aligns with that new vibration, draws to you and creates for you the outer expression of what you have created within. It's divine law. And if you've paid any attention in the last few years, you know that scientists are in alignment with this now, that there's a whole spectrum of thinking out there where all the different avenues of thought are coming together and acknowledging this truth. So we're going to look at actually shifting that paradigm, making your first jump into the new paradigm so that you can create the outer world. So when I look at these 7 steps, I'm going to just read through them for you once so that you can put them into your head and know that you'll cycle through them a few times. And then I'm going to go back and talk to you a little bit about what I mean by each of these statements. So number 1, find within yourself and ask yourself the question, what do I really want? Number 2, explore your limiting beliefs. Number 3, clear time and space. 4, take action. 5, stay centered in the fire. 6, receive with gratitude, and 7, love the life you live. So having walked through that for you, now let's go back to step number 1. What do I really want? This is much trickier than most people realize. We think we know what we want, but if we haven't stepped out of our outer world and gone in to really explore this, we may not actually know. What we may think we want could be a compromise. We may have already tabled what we really wanted and thought that it was out of reach or impossible and come up with a secondary thought pattern. We may be saying we want what our parents wanted for us or people in society wanted for us because we never actually took the time to explore it. We may have a belief system that we can't have what we want, so we've come up with another desire. What I want you to do is really give yourself permission to think about what you want. One of the exercises that I think is great for doing this is to imagine what your life would look like if you won a huge lottery. And I'm sure that people have done this. If you've ever bought a lottery ticket, one of the most powerful gifts that you get, you're a winner. When you buy a lottery ticket and you take this step, you're a winner. So you may want to go out and buy a lottery ticket and actually do this. Then you have until they draw the numbers. And if you win, you have a little bit longer. But if you have until they draw the numbers to explore this, what would my life look like? What would I do if I won so much money that I never had to worry again about taking care of myself, my children, my parents, my friends? Your obligations are released. What would your life look like? The beautiful thing is I can honestly tell you that I've done this exercise and my life would look like it is now. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe I would have more resources to reach more people. I would be able to share my message more. But that's a confirmation for me that I've actually created the life I wanted. Having more money wouldn't mean, oh, I would give this up now and I would go do something else. So when you can see what you would do, if you had that amount of money and the reason I'm using the lottery isn't because money is our answer, but it's because in our society right now, the ego is we've talked about the ego being our primitive survival source, right? It's the part within us that is instinctually programmed to make sure we survive as a species. Right now, that is tied in with finances. When we were more primitive, that might have been tied into making sure there were enough berries or enough animals around us in order to provide food for our family, or that the weather was fine. But right now in our society, it's tied in with money. So while money can't buy you happiness, doing this exercise will help you say, okay, if my ego was at bay, if my ego wasn't threatened by me creating this life, what would this life look like? Now, if what you see you think is a hobby, then you can take the next step to say, well, how could that hobby actually become an occupation? Or if what you see is a relationship that is different than you have in this moment, then you say, how can I make the shifts right now to create that relationship? But right now you're just exploring what it is you want. The next step is to explore your limited beliefs. Now, this is another tricky step because if we have the beliefs, we believe they're ours, but we need, and they become so ingrained in our personality that we don't even realize that they are limiting us. They seem like facts to us, and they are not. This could be a whole spectrum of belief systems that you have taken on from your childhood, that you have taken on from society to really do. And you would say, well, I don't have any limiting belief systems. Or maybe you've explored it and you get one layer of limiting belief systems that you believe you've released. Go deeper, go deeper, go deeper. Because if you're not living the life that you desire right now, then you still are living by limiting belief systems. It could be that good people don't have money. Good people don't change their relationships. Good people save for the future. You know, the world is going to end. I have to make sure that my children have a college fund. Whatever it is, And some of those I specifically picked to try to trigger you. If any of those triggered you, like, oh my God, how could she say that I shouldn't have a college fund for my children? I'm not saying you shouldn't have a college fund for your children. I'm saying look at the power that that has for you and see if that is a belief that you really hold to be true. And if that is something you want to keep or you want to release. So this process of exploring your limiting beliefs can take layers and layers to create this. The next step, clear time and space. So once you know what you want, you have identified your layers of limiting belief. And again, you may need to cycle around this a few times to really get to the depth. And this could be a cycle that you move through progressively throughout your life, creating closer and closer to the perfection of your dream as you move forward. But once you have a base of understanding for this, you need to create time and space for what you really truly want. If you're saying you want to be in relationship with positive people who support you and are on the spiritual journey with you, and you spend 30 hours a week with friendships or people who you're solving their problems for, you're feeling like, you're commiserating with each other, you're talking about how difficult life is, or you're just not happy, but you care about the person, so you spend time with them. That's something you need to look at. If you're spending 50 hours in a job that you're unhappy in, and then coming home and watching TV because you're too exhausted to do anything else, you need to look at your life and say, where can I create the space for this? Sometimes this is more symbolic too. Sometimes this is just opening your mind to say, okay, now that I've shifted these belief systems, I've released these belief systems, I'm creating a space where I allow something else to come in. I'm making choices that are not in old habit patterns. I'm choosing to do what I love to do more often. And I'm choosing to make that a priority for myself. And you may then just sit in that space of choosing that. It may be that you meditate and you move into a space 10 minutes a day where you see yourself, feel yourself living in that vibration of what it is you choose to create in your life. But look around your life and realize that it's actually logical, right? If I don't have any room in say you want a partnership, but there's no room in your home, there's no room in your day for a partnership, you wouldn't have time to go out to dinner with someone, then you aren't actually creating a space in which you can bring something like that in. So look at your life and start to shift it so that it looks like it will look when everything that you are desiring is brought into the physical form. Next is to take action. And so why this is down here is that you have now led yourself, if you've really done these exercises and not only just considered them exercises, but created them as a new way of life, and you've really explored this, then the actions will present themselves. And it may not be quit my job and, start a new business today. It may be open up to let people know that I also do this on the side. There may be incremental steps that allow you to move forward. It may be a huge jump, but you'll be ready for it. So whatever action that and the other thing is it will present itself. So you're not trying to go back and think about what action you wanted to take before you did this work, this inner work, and started the paradigm shift. Because if you do that, then you're just moving back. That action may be correct now, or it may be a new action that is correct now. It may be subtle actions that progressively add to the process of where you want to go. The important thing is to realize that the action can be internal, can be external, but it will present itself. You will not have to be knocking on the door for the action to present itself. You may have to take a deep breath, center yourself, and say, all right, I'm going to do this. Creator, God, whatever name you use, come with me, because here we go. Another prayer that I like to use: stop me if this isn't what you meant. Stop me if this isn't in my highest good, because I'm ready to move forward. And I'm willing to have it be blocked. And then if it's blocked, then you look around for another action that is available to you. But at this point, the action is moving forward. If you're taking action to move back, that feels like it's moving back to your old safety zone, you need to go back through those steps again and see why that paradigm is making you feel safe, even if it's not making you happy. Because if you're not happy, then the safety net that you believe is supporting you is actually not supporting you any longer. So you need to look at that. So the actions will be a series of actions. They will present themselves. You will follow them based on your new paradigm, checking in with yourself. Does this match how I feel now? Does this match what I've discovered about myself? And then you move forward. Now, here's the one that everybody, I'm sure, is like, what happens now? Stay centered in the fire. Because when you start to move towards your dream, to truly living your dream, you are going to flare up with a polarity. I want to refer to Neil Donald Walsh, the author of Conversations with God. Actually, in his book, Happier Than God, he talks about when we are creating our life, when we are manifesting or bringing into form that which we desire, because we live in a world of duality. What happens is that right before we actually attain in the physical world what it is we desire, we draw to us the exact opposite. Beautiful thing is that it helps us embrace what we were choosing in the first place even more when we get through it, helps us recognize it, helps us feel it, helps us enjoy it. The difficult thing is that sometimes many people reach this point and they start to see things happening and they're like, ooh, this isn't what I meant. I thought everything was going to go smoothly. This is frightening me. And they jump back to their old patterns. So when you reach that point, this is how I shifted it for myself. When I reached that point where all of a sudden I knew I was doing great, I was feeling great, I could feel my life changing, I could feel myself bringing in what I wanted, and then flared up with time delay for a response or, a negative response. I'm thinking right now of my publishing of my book, right? Not getting those positive responses right away, or anything in your life where you start to see the polar opposite almost of what it is you're creating. What I did is I shifted my belief system so that when I saw that, rather than taking that as a sign that I should retreat and go back to where I was, I now take it as a sign of celebration, because I know that it means I'm so close to manifesting what I want. I ground myself in, I center in, and this is a great time. And if you haven't downloaded my Transforming the Ego meditation, 10-minute meditation that I believe is a miracle meditation, free on my website, find it in the blog section, scan to page 2 and find the description of the ego, and then you can download that. But that 10-minute meditation, or checking in to make sure that I see myself linked in, coming down from heaven to earth and out my tailbone and into the core of Mother Earth and back up again, that's securing my ego so that the primitive self doesn't have to flare up at that point. So when this this ring of fire comes that seems like it's not working, I center myself in with that. I remind myself that this is joyful and that it's a sign that it means I'm getting what I want. And I breathe deep, and I might just distract myself while I wait that period out. Going to the next step, step number 6. This is one that people often, I have to say, I'm only teaching you what I've learned, right? I'm here now. I'm happy. I'm really celebrating each day that I'm living it as I want. I know I can do more. I'm open to doing more, but I'm totally grateful for where I am right now. One of the final things that I didn't notice I wasn't doing until a year or so ago is taking time to receive, and to receive with gratitude. The vibration of receiving is completely different from the vibration of manifesting, action, trying to reach for something. You cannot. So someone said this to me years ago, and that was a paradigm shift for me. He said the act of reaching and receiving are two different acts. They're incompatible with each other. Now, during these earlier steps, we're taking action to create something. We are the creator in that. We are taking action. But in order to live that and manifest that, we have to step back. I'm being reminded in this moment of the Bible, of Genesis, right? Even God rested. What were they telling us? That she had to take the day off, which might have been infinity for however time works in that creation. But what it's telling us is that moment to receive, to sit back and to observe and to let that come into your life. If we don't do that, we will be creating forever, and it'll be like that piece of paper that blows in the wind and you think you're about to grab it and then the wind picks it and it's always just out of reach, or the carrot on the donkey's dangling in front of the donkey that keeps moving forward. We need to stop. We need to reverse the flow at this point. We need to sit in this. Again, we can cycle through these steps more than once throughout our process, but remember that. Sit and receive. To me, in meditation, it feels, and sometimes I did it by the beach when I was in Puerto Rico. The wind was picking up, actually a hurricane wind, right? So it was so filled with power, and I just sat there. And I felt that wind come to me and wash over. When I was in the ocean and I felt the waves wash over me. If I'm doing that in meditation, it's the same feeling. It's waiting and not putting out, not even putting love out to the world. It's receiving love back. It's bringing that back in. Now, in our practical life, we're also looking at, how do I look around my world and see where things have already started to manifest? Because it takes process to get to where we're going. So it will take us a few steps. So what we want to do in the practical outer world is start to look for the signs of manifesting, not the signs of it not working, the signs of it working. We want to see those steps. We want to be grateful. We want to acknowledge, touch, feel the things that are coming to us in the process of creating the life we want. Final step, love the life you live. Same concept. It's an extension of step 6. It's that gratitude. It's looking around. It's feeling what's beautiful in your life. It's taking time to do that. But it's also about staying in the now. You have to choose realize that the life you're living right now is the life you created. It is the life you wanted in the past because you created it. In the future, you are creating something different. Where you are right now is setting it up so that you can create something different in the future. But in the meantime, look around, find the things you're grateful for, be in joy. The more time you're in joy and love, the more time you spend in that space, the easier it is to draw forth into physical form the manifestation of that which you are desiring. So there you go, the 7 steps to creating the life of your dreams. And you may want to listen to this a couple times and move through this in your own life in various levels. But I tell you, it works. It is foolproof, because if you commit to it, it will happen. Enjoy it. Enjoy the process, because this is the life and you are creating it now.